Hello everyone, in this video I'll be doing a tier list of the best ring accessories in Baldur's Gate 3. Some of these you can legitimately build your entire character around, and some of them are still very good nonetheless. So I'll be talking about all the benefits of these rings, and I'll be naming them because I know in this image here it doesn't show what they actually are, and some of them actually look exactly the same as other rings, but I'll be talking about which is which. So the first one we got here is the Risky Ring. So what the Risky Ring does is it gives you advantage on attack rolls and disadvantage on saving throws. That's actually extremely good because advantage on attack rolls means you can do sneak attack. So if you have a rogue, give them the Risky Ring. Or if you have someone that misses all their attacks, they will also benefit from the Risky Ring. So I think it's best on a rogue, or if you have a multi-classed rogue, it works extremely well there. So Risky Ring is definitely S tier because advantage on attack rolls is crucial for some characters early on in the game. You can get this as early as Act 2, so it's actually a really nice ring to have. So yeah, it's definitely S tier, I would say. Advantage on attack rolls. Disadvantage on saving throws does suck, but some characters do have benefits. Like the rogue has increased chance of not getting hit, so it can benefit some classes better than others. So yeah, I think it's an S tier. Next, we got the Ring of Flinging. So this will add in 1d4 to throwing attacks. This is a ring that you definitely want to be putting on if you have a Throw Zerker or an Eldritch Knight thrower. It's extremely useful for those two builds in particular. Now, for everyone else, if you don't throw, you're not going to get any benefit from it. It technically should go S tier for those two particular builds, but since it's only effective on those two, I don't think it's right to put it in the S tier, so I'm going to put it in the A tier. It's nice to have any extra damage riders that you can get, but this doesn't apply to every build, as the Risky Ring can apply to a lot of different classes. So I'm going to put it in the A tier because it just doesn't give as much benefit as some others. Now, we got the Ring of Regeneration next. So this is an interesting one because it gives a 1d4 health, or 1d4 heal at the start of each turn. What makes this really nice is if you have the gloves that give you the Blade Ward on heal, this will continually give yourself Blade Ward every single turn. So you'll get resistance to physical damage types and heal yourself. It actually has a really good synergy between those. There's also a ring that gives you Bless, so you can give yourself Bless and Blade Ward with this ring in particular. It takes up 3 item slots, but I think that is a very good ring. I'm going to put it in the A tier because the 1d4 healing is really nice. This ring isn't that hard to get either. You can buy this in Act 3. It's very useful for a number of builds. It's good on a class if you have one that's a bit squishier. You can give this and the... I can't remember the name of the gloves right off the top of my head, but they give you Blade Ward. So very, very effective together. And I think that even passive healing is just a good thing to have. So yeah, I think that's a definite A tier. Next, we have the Ring of Evasion. This is a unique one. You can only get this if you play as Gale, and your Terra, the cat Tressum, will give this to you. So what this does is if you fail a dexterity saving throw, instead, you succeed it. Woohoo! So you can use your reaction to succeed. That's pretty good, because typically a wizard's going to get hit somewhat commonly. It's not like a monk or a rogue that can dodge those attacks as frequently. It's a pretty good ring, but it's only exclusive. It's exclusive to Gale, and it's once per long rest. So that is another kind of holding it back. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in the B tier. It could go S tier, but you only get it as Gale. So I can't say it's the best ring ever when most 99.9% of players aren't going to get this ring. So I have to put it in the B tier just because. Yeah. Next, we got the Ring of Freedom of Movement. So or is that, yeah, Ring of Free Action it's called. This gives you freedom of movement, so difficult terrain doesn't slow you down, you can't be paralyzed or restrained. So this is actually extremely good, especially if you have a build like a fighter that needs to get up close, or a barbarian. Anyone that needs to move around can benefit from ignoring the difficult terrain. There are a lot of ways to not be affected by difficult terrain. There's also some boots that can give you that, but I'd say it's an S tier because anything that reduces your movement can really screw you up in this game, because typically spellcasters are the strongest, ranged attackers are next strongest, and then melee attackers are kind of at the weakest because movement is so important in a game like Baldur's Gate. Typically in Dungeons and Dragons, it's kind of equal across the board, but in Baldur's Gate 3, since the maps are so large, you had to move around a lot, and movement speed is such a big thing. This helps a ton in the game, so I have to put this in the S tier because there's some builds that get a big benefit out of using this. And yeah, there are some that can ignore difficult terrain regardless. It's just don't put it on those classes. Next, we got the Ring of Protection. This is, if you watch my build guides, you'll see me use this all the time because a +1 in armor class and +1 to saving throws is really, really nice. But it's just not as overpowered as some of the other rings on this list, so I can't give it like the highest regard. Also, it's pretty difficult to get. You have to go through a pretty tricky quest line. I want to put it at the top of the A tier though, because +1 armor class is huge, especially early on in the game. Having increased armor class means you're not going to get hit as much, and that can mean all the difference between surviving and getting taken down. So, Ring of Protection, really nice. A tier, definitely. It's one that I use very often, but yeah, I can't put it in the S tier because I feel like these are for things that make your character extremely powerful and unstoppable in certain ways. Next, we have the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel. I think that this is the best ring in the entire game. So the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, you get it in Act 3. Now, there's also a legendary trident that you can get at the exact same place. Don't miss this ring because you can only go there once. So what you have to do is you have to fool the genie. He will send you to a jungle with a bunch of dinosaurs, and then you can pick up the Nirolna trident there. But also, hidden in a bag is the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel. Do not miss this. Don't miss it. Definitely don't miss this. What the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel does is after you make a weapon attack, you can cast an illusion or enchantment spell as a bonus action. And this also counts as cantrips. So you can cast Minor Illusion or Vicious Mockery. This works really well on a bard because what you can do is you can attach the Helmet of Arcane Acuity, which will stack up. If you have Arrow of Many Targets, you can hit multiple targets, and it'll give you Arcane Acuity, which increases your spell save DC, which is the number that a target has to roll to be resistant to your crowd control. So we can do our 2 weapon attacks, and then as a bonus action, we can upcast Hold Person and basically hold a bunch of people in place, which is absolutely crazy. Because then on our next turn, we can go and critical hit them and continue to stack up our Arcane Acuity. This is definitely the best ring by far in the game. This can help you with literally soloing the game. It's incredible how powerful it is. On top of that, you can even use Vicious. If you don't want to use your spell slots, let's say you burn them all up, you can still attack a couple times and then use Vicious Mockery as a bonus action. What's nice about Vicious Mockery, it gives disadvantage on attack rolls. So if a target has advantage on their attack rolls, this will remove it. If they don't have any advantage on their attack rolls, disadvantage means they have to roll 2 die and they take the lower result, meaning they're likely going to miss you in Act 3. So Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, extremely useful. By far the best ring. It's like some of the others, like the Ring of Flinging, like this is only on throwing builds. This is only on a few builds, but anything that attacks and has illusion or enchantment spells can benefit. So even like a paladin can benefit. There's actually quite a few classes that can benefit from this ring, so highly recommend taking this. It's super powerful. Next we have the this is the Band of the Blade. This I will come back to this one. I can't remember. Shadow Blade ring. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head. I don't have it on my list. I accidentally closed it off. But what this does is it allows you to cast Shadow Blade, which is actually a pretty powerful weapon, and you can actually build your entire class around this weapon. So I'm going to put it up in the A tier because it is very powerful. I'm just, I had things here because these are all hard to remember. I forget the name of it. Someone will correct me in the comments. I know it. Sorry for that. But Shadow Blade is extremely powerful, and I'll be doing a build on this at a future date. I haven't done it yet. I've done one on the Flame Blade, but the Shadow Blade, very, very effective. Next, we have the Killer Sweetheart. Now, I would say this is the second best ring in the game. Basically, it's just a free critical hit after you kill a target, and that critical hit can literally be a game winner for you. So, a little story time. When fighting Orin, I had Gale upcast Magic Missile to remove all the stacks of Unstoppable at Orin Head, and then my Paladin Warlock comes in and literally rolled up with this ring. Critical hit smite, took her out in 1 hit. Critical hits are extremely powerful, and the ability to give yourself 2 free critical hits with this ring, as well as the Illithid ability, very powerful because critical hits can be a game winner. If you need to delete a target immediately, this ring got you. That's very, very nice. So I have to say this has got to be probably the second best ring in the game, next to the Band of Mystic Scoundrel, because that on-will critical hit is just so useful. Next, we have the Caustic ring. Now, this adds 2 acid damage to our attacks. Anything that gives a damaged rider is pretty solid, all things considered. So, Yeah, I would say that this is a pretty good ring because giving yourself an extra 2 damage on all your attacks is really nice. If you're a monk, this only counts on where is it here? I accidentally closed this one down too. Um, this can give you an additional 2 damage on your attacks, so that can be a lot if you have like an arrow of many targets that can just spread it out to a bunch of people, or if you have a cleave attack, or even if you got like a wild heart barbarian with the cleave their cleave attack, which you can do multiple times. Very powerful. So I would say probably B tier. It's just not as powerful as some of the other rings, so I'm going to throw it right there, B tier. It's nice to have any type of damage rider, though, because that just allows you to stack up a little bit more damage. Next, we get the Crypt Lord ring. This looks identical to the Killer Sweetheart ring, but what the Crypt Lord ring does is it gives you a free level 6 spell. That alone is incredible. The spell is Create Undead, so you can summon in a mummy. Really nice. If you have a Necromancer, they can take this ring and it frees up their level 6 spell slot. Anything that can give you a level 6 spell slot for free is huge. This is the only one that has it, so obviously S tier because that's just super useful. I'm actually move the Ring of Freedom of Movement down a tier, just upon reflection of the rest of these. Yeah, it's still really good, but Crypt Lord ring, free level 6 spell, that is it's really good. If you have a bunch of characters and you don't know what to give them for rings, use this one because that free spell is just super useful. Next, we got the Crusher's Ring. This is a ring that you can get really early on in the game, and it gives you an extra 3 meters of movement speed. That is really nice, and something that you could really take advantage of, again, with your martial classes. They could go with the Ring of Freedom of Movement, and then go with this ring for increased movement speed, as well as the ability to not get slowed down by things like ice and whatnot. So, with this, I would say it's... I feel like it's probably a B tier, and I might even move Ring of Regeneration down to B tier. Actually, if you compare this with multiple items, this is really good because it just procs those every turn. 3 meters movement speed is huge, and you can also just play as a Wood Elf, so you got options for that increased movement speed. But hey, plus 3 meters movement speed is actually pretty big, so we'll go with that. Next, we got this is the Callous Glow Ring. So what this does is when the wearer deals an additional 2 damage against illuminated targets. It's gotten pretty early, and you can pair this with like the Blood of Lathander, or you can pair it with Nyrolna because they're going to be illuminated targets. I'm going to put it in the C tier though because it's additional 2 damage, but so is the Caustic Band, which just doesn't require you to have a target illuminated. I try to spread these out as much as possible. I don't think I got any F tier ones today, unfortunately, so I can't fully spread this out, but yeah, Callous Glow Ring, 2 extra damage is really nice, especially early on. You can pair this, and you can actually stack up some Radiating Orb builds, and that goes pretty hard on that. Finally, we got ourselves, I forget the name of this one, Burnished Ring. So what this does, it gives you Paralyzing Ray. Paralyzing Ray is basically Hold Person, which is a really good spell, because you can attack. Basically, if you use this, the target can't move, act, or react. They're stuck in place, and all attacks within 3 meters are critical hits. Hold Person can only be given to like a select few spellcasting classes, but you can take this as a fighter and be able to lock someone down. So I want to put this at the top of the B tier because it is pretty useful. You get it from the you get this from the House of Hope, and it's kind of late in the game when you get it, but it can benefit a fighter pretty well. So I have to put it in the B tier there. So yeah, there's the ring accessories in Baldur's Gate 3 ranked on a tier list. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, as there are some really nice synergies between these rings and different builds. So Bandit and Mystic Scoundrel, easily the best, because just being able to cast a spell as a bonus action is so good. And then free critical hit, also really nice. And a free level 6 spell slot with Create Undead, really good too. And it doesn't even have to be used by like your Necromancer. You can put this on anybody to have a little free dummy to run around with. And it'll take hits for your team, so that just creates more survivability. And then also the Risky Ring is definitely a really good one, especially if you got a rogue or someone that's just not missing or just not hitting their shots. So there it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video fun, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.